Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is Tuesday, November 4th, time for the 14 First Alert Weather Show at 9 o'clock. I'm watching your comments here on the Facebook page, 14 News Facebook. So if you have anything you want to weigh in on, well, throw it in there and we'll chew on it about halfway through the show. What a day. We got up to 65 and it's going to get even warmer tomorrow. We have 70s on the way for Wednesday after a clear night tonight. However, we're going to do a little up and down on the temperature this week. We will drop back into the 60s for Thursday. Friday closer to 70, but some showers and maybe even some thunderstorms too. Over the next 7 days, the same kind of idea. We go up and down. It looks like we go down for good, especially on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Our high temps will fall into the middle 40s and lows in the upper 20s, so our first hard freeze. If you've been one of those rugged holdouts to not turn on the heat, I think this will break you getting into the 20s there on Monday and Tuesday morning. Now, as we look overnight through tomorrow, no clouds or anything really to contend with. And then by Friday morning, we have some showers starting to work across Illinois, maybe more widespread showers and storms than during the day. This, our graph model here has really kind of upped the ante on rain potential there for Friday afternoon and evening. Those storm chances obviously best on Friday at 70%. We will pull back a little bit, still some scattered showers maybe on early Saturday and again Sunday as that second disturbance moves through. The cold front that will trigger those storms does have a little more to work with moisture from the Gulf and a little warmer air coming up. We're going to get into the severe parameters here in a minute. And while we don't have an outlook yet from the Storm Prediction Center, some of the machine learning programs out at Colorado State are showing at least a marginal chance for some severe weather across mainly western Kentucky if it materializes. But again, there are many question marks about how that will come together. Some things are going to have to really line up for that to be a risk. And then some of you have seen snow in the forecast on your social media feeds. It will primarily fall up in Michigan, which is par for the course there, maybe northern Indiana, as that low pressure moves across. The main impact here, at least by the GFS model, will be to pull our temperatures down with a northwest wind. Rainfall potential on Friday is still stuck at around 1/4 of an inch. Now those numbers may creep up with the late model run here. I don't get the GFS until this time of the year until after 10 p.m. No help, right? So actually it might come in, it's coming in now, but I can't show you panels from it until we get the whole thing. Anyway, not to make excuses here, but we're watching, it just isn't in yet. So let's look at severe parameters for Friday and why we could see some thunderstorms. Now, we always start with, are we going to have the energy, CAPE, or available potential energy. And the model here today is showing, marginal CAPE in the low range here, but CAPE nonetheless. Now, as we've said many times, CAPE alone won't get you severe weather. You'd need a couple other things going on. The upper air support for severe weather is not as convincing this time around. And we do have a bit of a low-level jet, but it's over to the east by the time it develops. So that may kind of lean the scale more toward eastern Kentucky for any thunderstorms, in time of day too. The shear really not showing up at all. The supercell threat, this would be where thunderstorms are possible, is lighting up in gray. Now this, by the way, doesn't mean everybody's going to see a supercell. What that means is thunderstorms are possible, and then where you have these contours, you have increasing likelihood for that. This is a slight change from yesterday if you were watching. We've got a little more coverage for some thunder in there. And then the tornado threat also at least lighting up a little bit. Now again, these are very low levels. I don't want you to freak out when you see this. Oftentimes if we have any rain or anything, you're going to see this index. Remember, it's just a model showing that potential. But it bears watching, especially since there's a little more of that gaining traction now in that particular model. So to sum it up here, we're still keeping an eye on Friday. We don't have a first alert weather day in. Storm Prediction Center does not have us outlooked. Many of the models are not hinting at severe weather. But it's not a zero chance. So we'll just leave it at that for today and kind of see where we stand here as these new models come in tonight. It's not as cool tonight as it was last. We're in the mid-50s, and our temps here around the tri-state are in the mid-50s as well. We've got a 49 up there in Mount Carmel. That's about the coolest spot right now. And on the almanac, we hit 65 today, which is just a degree or two above normal. And then we dropped down to 36 this morning, which is slightly cooler than normal. For the month, we're still warming a bit. Our 70 tomorrow will likely be one of the few that we would see in November. 70 gets much harder to achieve with these lower sun angles and shorter days as we get toward the end of the month. Typically 70 degrees this time of the year, especially later in November, comes from very strong southerly winds and often in conjunction with thunderstorms. So, you know, if we get just a freebie on Wednesday tomorrow, enjoy it. Rain, fall, of course, we're big for the year, and our average temp is still cooler than normal. For tomorrow, up to 70 there in the afternoon. And we've got a couple things going here. Wanted to draw your attention to. One is we have a big Pacific storm coming in. And so what that means is we have rain and thunderstorms and showers now up in the Pacific Northwest. The significance is that, at least at the moment, we are in what we call a zonal flow, meaning everything kind of moves west to east, more or less. You don't see any big kinks in the jet stream or anything like that. And with a zonal flow, you tend to get a parade of different weathers, right? Because stuff is blowing through quickly. You know, if you don't like the weather today, wait till tomorrow, that kind of a thought. So the way that will affect the rest of the week is like this. So we have high pressure over South Carolina. That'll move out, and in its wake, we have this southerly wind. So there's your 70s for tomorrow. Then we have a clipper system. That's a fast-moving cold front. This one isn't diving down. It's really more or less moving straight across west to east, but there is cooler air behind it. So that's why on Wednesday we hit 70. Whoosh, that goes through. Now we're down to 60 on Thursday, and we're also on the high will be right over us. That high moves out and supplies a fetch of moisture then to our cold front on Friday. So they're all kind of working together here, but the cold front will definitely be the focal point for those thunderstorms, and it will signal the end then of active weather. Once it passes through, it'll get much colder for the weekend and certainly next week. There's the rain. I'm having my doubts now about Friday night football games. I mean, if we don't have lightning, they're going to play, but if you're getting out to the game, might not be a lot of fun out there sitting in the rain and, you know, itchy pants and the whole thing. When you get wet like that, sitting in the bleachers, we clear out Sunday through Tuesday according to the GFS. And again, our rain potential there is only about 1/4 of an inch. I did want to give you a comparison here because this has been making the rounds on social media, and nothing makes me break out in a rash like just people throwing stuff up on social without much context. So I showed you the GFS, rain only, right? Even the lowest temperatures there on Monday don't line up with the precip, at least not on the GFS. On the European model, we still show the rain on Friday. In fact, they agree very much. And then over the weekend, we are dry Saturday, dry Sunday morning, and maybe a few showers in here, which is a little bit of a departure from the GFS. But then look at Monday morning. Now you see the snow indicated here on the GFS or on the European model. Well, that gets everybody's attention. I mean, I looked at it too. I'm like, whoa. So what do we make of that? My answer is it's still too soon. Today's Tuesday, that's Monday, so we're still looking 6 days out, and we know that both the long-range models tend to be flaky, not snowflakey, but just, they fluctuate at that range. So we're going to keep an eye on it, but we're not going to freak out and, buy salt and bread and milk and all that nonsense. Okay. And then rainfall for the European pretty much lines up with the GFS, around 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain. So for tonight, 51 degrees, it'll be clear. Tomorrow up to 71, sunny, gorgeous weather. The next 7 days then bring us that weather whiplash up and down, And Veterans Day here Tuesday, the 11th, we get up to 51, following our coldest low, at least forecast low, so far this season at 27. So that would be a hard freeze if we do in fact get that. The temperature outlook then is colder than normal through next Friday, and the rainfall outlook is also drier than normal. So that kind of rounds out the field. And Tesla's going to get a free ride tonight. We're working on a side project here. Always a side project, right? And I had tonight's pet pick pulled in, but I didn't push it over here to this computer. My apologies. I am not ambidextrous. I try to do one thing at a time. Or amphibious, whatever. But anyway, thanks, William Raleigh, for that picture of Tesla. Let me see if we have questions. And we'll get to it here in a moment. And it seems like, okay, we're going to start here. Oh my, we have a lot tonight. We'll start with Lacey Martin, watching from Henderson. Thank you. Almost saw the new graphic during the newscast. I know, you don't want those to sneak out, right? We have to make the big premiere. Zach Seats, if severe weather does happen on Friday, will Evans or large hail damaging winds be the main threats? That's very hard to say at this stage. I would guess with the amount of cold air aloft and at the height that we're anticipating that yes, there'd be hail and a wind component to it, and you probably would throw in tornadoes. You know, now whether this comes to fruition or not, we're still not really absolutely sure. Always a possibility when we have thunderstorms. William Raleigh remembered that Monday, November 10th, will be 50 years since the Titanic. That's right, the Edmund Fitzgerald, right? Okay. New Science Corner subject, atmospheric river storm. Oh, that's a good one. And you know, I don't have the graphic loaded, but we have one, so I'll try to get that one tomorrow night if I remember it. Cheyenne Hammond says, good evening. Megan Steiner, seems like we just skipped right over open windows over. Well, you know, we had a few, but yeah, it was that way. All right, Lacey Martin sending prayers to Wave into Louisville. Yeah, they were showing smoke from the UPS plane crash. I know, yeah, that's really scary. Hopefully everybody is okay over there in Louisville. All right, let's go to Science Corner here real quick, which has to do with contrails. I noticed a bunch of them in the sky today, and those are simply the condensation, the hot air coming out of jet engines, reacting with ice crystals aloft. It's super cooled up there at 35,000, 40,000 feet. So you get these long clouds that come from the planes, and depending on how the wind's blowing up there, you either get a nice tidy line or they kind of flare out or come and go. But they are created by jet exhaust. They are made of water vapor and just a little bit of soot from burning the kerosene or whatever jets burn up there, jet fuel. So that's what they are made of. And the process is usually best at about an altitude somewhere of 25 to 40,000 feet. And the reason is up there the pressure is very low. The atmosphere, if it is, there's any moisture, it's frozen, it's super cooled. So that heat coming off of a jet instantly reacts and you get a contrail. That's why you don't see contrail, like when a plane takes off from the airport, you never see a contrail behind it, right? And sometimes if you've looked at them, they will have one going out and then there won't. And oftentimes that means the plane has changed altitude or entered into a different atmospheric condition, whether there isn't ice or there isn't the supercooling needed for contrails. And so they are highly dependent on weather conditions out there. And planes have no control over whether they make a contrail or not, other than choosing the altitude that they fly at. So the sky, it did not look quite this blotched up today, but around here there are times when we see multiple, multi-directional contrails up there, and that's just simply because we have a lot of planes flying over. I think I read a stat that at any given moment there's like 4,500 planes over the United States in flight during the day. Contrails can sometimes create optical effects. I've seen one where as the trail gets fatter, it looks like a funnel cloud because you don't have the perspective. In other words, when you look on the horizon and you see this thing, it tricks your eye into thinking, you're looking at a funnel cloud. When it's actually flat up there, a contrail. Other times you can get a black line or a dark shadow, and that's because the sun, if it shines on the contrail and it's at a different altitude than, say, a cloud deck, you'll get that dark look to it. If you really care, the planes aloft, the ones that are going either north or east, will fly at an odd altitude. Or on the other hand, the south and westbound flights fly at even altitudes, like 40,000 feet or 38,000, 36,000, etc. You might have noticed that when you fly, you know, if they announce the altitude, if you're going to Florida, it's going to be usually an even altitude, like 28 or 32,000 feet. Okay, we talked about that. Contrails actually first appeared during World War II. And it was at that time they finally had aircraft that could fly at that altitude, 25,000 feet and higher. I think it was the B-29. The Stratofortress was pressurized. And so because of that, they then discovered that the heat coming off of turboprop engines or radial engines, they were big propeller-driven aircraft at that time, but still heat coming off exhaust, produce these contrails. Well, you know, the last thing you want for the enemy is to have contrails blazing out of your four engines. And so meteorologists during World War II took great pains to, first of all, by sending a weather balloon up, they would know where the saturated air was and say, okay, avoid this altitude or fly, you know, below or whatever. And the second thing is that oops, there isn't a second thing. Oh, no, there was a second thing. I'm sorry. Well, now here oh, goodness. Having a complete meltdown here. All right. Well, I don't know why it's doing that to me. Why do these things happen to me? All right. I think, yeah, okay. We already said that. Well, anyway, I had this summary graphic. They occur all over the world. They've appeared basically since the World War II era. They are harmless. They can have an effect on the weather. This is true. They are man-made clouds after all. But they're not poisonous. It's not some part of a nefarious plot by anyone. But because they're creating clouds, it can reduce the amount of incoming sunshine. If you have a lot of them and they, you know, disperse up there, it will perhaps lower the temperature in some areas. Not enough to modify, you know, the weather. But locally, you could see a slight swing in the temperature from contrails if there are enough and they fan out like that. So anyhow, that's a little science corner for you there. Kind of a clumsy end to it here. Let's see if we have any other questions. I don't think we do. I really appreciate you watching tonight, and we'll try to remember to talk about the atmospheric rivers tomorrow night here on the First Alert Weather Show at 9. Thanks for watching. Please stay safe and have a good night.